Hello and welcome to my ACE guide for the Abyss. Now this is the commented version of this video. If you don't want to hear me speak or just don't want to watch slow down version of clips where I'm pausing all the time, you can go down into the description and look for a link to the uncommented version of this video. And in the description there should also be timestamps for all the individual levels. Now, in this video, I will be giving you extra information that you can't get from uncommented clips. Stuff like what am I doing, why am I doing this, and just to give you extra information about what I'm doing. Now, in this commented version of the video, I'll show every level twice. The first time around is going to be the version where I'm speaking over it and pausing it, and then afterwards you're going to have the unslowed down, unpaused, no commentary version of just the complete level going through it. Anyways, let's get on to 6-1. Starting off with 1-1, you basically want to play this level normally. And what you want to do is right here, you see this baddie. He controls the apple launch, or the apple trigger, right in front of you. So you kind of want to wait until you get up to the apple and then shoot him. And you can jump and get a pretty good consistent angle on the apple right there. And you're going to immediately want to turn down to shoot this smoocher below. And then for this apple that comes across in this arc right here, let's see. So you can see it shoot across, and when it gets to almost gets to the top, you want to try and jump and match its height, and then just shoot straight ahead. And then if you do it right, you should be able just to delay your next shot and shoot the apple right behind it, as well as dodging the shots from the baddie right in front of you. And you just need to take him out. And then there's this blob to the right that you see. This will roll forward, and you just need to shoot it. This apple controls the other apple trigger, so you want to wait just a little bit to shoot it. You don't want to shoot it immediately. And then you shoot that apple. And you want to get onto this fence, and holding space helps to get around. And because avoiding that teleporter right there will avoid that apple's trigger right there. And this baddie controls the apple trigger up above, so you want to wait until you're at the bounce pad to shoot him. And that's it for 6-1. 6-2 is a bit of a simpler level. The main thing you want to try and practice is trying to get this opening shot right here. But after that, it's pretty simple. And then you want to jump onto this blue fence and then to the tent and avoid shooting the tall guy. Just avoid that apple trigger right there and having to go through the series of blue platforms. And then you could shoot the apple and smoocher in any order that's most convenient. And just do it in that order. And this baddie right here can sometimes trip you up and shoot you. So just be careful of him. And you have this kind of tough shot on the apple. It's kind of hard to get consistently, but it shouldn't be too much of a trouble. For 6-3, there aren't really any tricks, but the main difficulty is going to be coming from this shot right here. And you probably have to reset a lot to try and get this practice down. So what I find easiest is just to shoot the teleporter guy in front of you and then shoot the smoocher. And then just go for this order in apples. You can try and do some fancy stuff with the apples, but it's usually not worth the effort. And then once you shoot that smoocher down below, he's going to activate the apple that I shot earlier, and you just kind of want to jump to match the height of some of these apples. That way you don't have to try and aim up or down or anything, you just sort of aim flat in towards the apple. For 6-4, there aren't really any special tricks for it. But one thing that does help is at the opening, you want to try and parry this bullet. That way you don't have to dodge any shots up here. You just focus shooting the fog bullets. And from here you can sort of just move straight and just strafe left to right to make these platforms. And then after this fog bullet, you're going to have an apple once you touch the platform. And it's a bit hard to see, so what you want to do is you want to look out for the blue civilian and then aim just above his head. You can try and avoid the blue platform, but you don't have enough time to make it to the goal and get the speed star. Six-5 is the first secret level, and it's actually one of the easiest levels in the entire Abyss. So at the start, you're going to have an apple and a baddie, and you kind of want to use those to judge your angle for this pathing right here. So you kind of want to just hold S the entire time, and right there you could see me tap A, and that will help you get the right alignment for this path right here, and you should be able to just slide up the terrain behind you. So you shoot that, turn to that, and you should be able to make it all the way up. And you want to be holding space the entire time. You can even take it a bit slower if you're having trouble getting up, but it's a pretty simple level with the skip right there. Six is a very tricky level. There is a minor skip that does help with it, but it does take a lot of restarts. It will help if you try and get used to aiming without the crosshair, because there's a lot of distant shots you're probably going to have to make, mostly just right here at the beginning. So you want to start, turn left, and immediately just try and shoot that guy. It's not too bad, so you can just restart if you miss. And then from there, you want to make sure to get the smoocher and then jump onto the terrain and jump up. It's a little finicky, but with some practice you should be able to get it. And you want to come up here and shoot this baddie here. And you want to do that because if you don't, you're going to get shot from behind. And you shoot that guy, and this part right here is pretty awkward and will will cause a lot of restarts. So I find that just sitting here and getting that guy first, coming up, getting both of the smoochers, and then from there you can just follow this path up. And then you have that smoocher right there. Jump forward a bit so the distance is a little bit less, and so you have less time moving towards the smoocher, to the teleporter guy, so you have an easier time shooting that apple. Gonna be a lot of restarts, but that's probably the easiest and most consistent way that I found to do it. 6-7 has been made pretty simple with the skip I found. Opening's pretty standard, and in these red blobs is supposed to be a bounce pad, but that causes an apple trigger, and it's just easier to go up here. So then you want to shoot that, and instead of going through the teleporter there, you're going to hang a right and jump up this bit here. Going to avoid a lot of apple triggers. Then you shoot these guys. And a bit of a tough shot right there. You're supposed to shoot the apple first, but forgot, and then from there you just head back around and shoot this last guy right here, and then touch the goal. So 6-8 is a pretty tough level, and it is a level you are going to be pressed on time. So you will have to do this very quickly. So starting at the opening, you have the nail polish right here, but you could go into either side, either left or right. I find going around the outside is a bit more consistent. And then once you get to the teleport, you have that quick apple shot. And another tough shot here, but if you aim flat and directly at it, you should be able to get it. Not many tricks, but that's the path you want to take if you're trying to do it fast. So 6-9, nice, is a very hard level. There's really no easy way to get around it, so you basically just have to do it as intended, and this should basically is just going to help you understand which shots you need to make. And I believe you're also a bit pressed for time too, so that doesn't help either. So in the opening right here, you kind of want to just shoot the teleporter guys because that's going to be faster, and then you want to shoot the baddie and then get the apple shot before you go over. If you jump right, it should be too hard of a shot because it's coming directly at you. And then from here, you can kind of shoot them in any order, but it depends on what's easier. And that baddie, you want to try and delay it a bit because it's the trigger for that apple. And then once you shoot that apple, you want to quickly shoot this baddie over here and then jump, and then you should have enough time to shoot the apple down here. If not, you could shoot the apple first and then shoot the baddie to your left. Whatever's easiest. And then coming out of the portal, we have that quick shot right there, and a double shot over there to get both the smoocher and the apple. You want to make sure strafe walk all the way to the end, and you should hopefully get fast enough time for the speed star. .610 is probably my favorite level, and it makes use of this invisible pathway very nicely. So I find that if you time this with your jumps, it should be pretty easy to get everything down. So you jump over the fence, you jump, you shoot down, the ground, jump, shoot the apple, look up, jump, shoot the apple, keep on looking straight, get the apple, and there you go. Nothing much, and then you need to get these 2 apples and then shoot the smooch before you hit the spikes. And then from here you're going to have this 1 fog bullet, or 2 fog bullets. And then you just have to go straight to the end. .611 is the other secret level. We have to be very quick in this level because you don't have a lot of time. Not necessarily that the level gives you time to sit around anyways. So from the very start right here, you want to shoot this tall baddie, and then immediately go left for the apple. You want to hold space while you're still in the air here, and you should get a jump up. And then from there, you need to shoot the apple, this baddie right here. And then you have baddie, apple, and you have another apple that comes flying from left to right. And if you strafe walk like I did, let's see, you should be able just to match the speed, and it'll be a very easy shot to line up. .612 is a tough level with a bunch of short apples. So from the very start right here, you're going to want to shoot this smoocher first, and then the bullet, then the baddie. And then you have to deal with the 2 apples. You can either stay flat on the ground or jump and shoot them. I find that staying flat on the ground is easier. And you want to jump to try and avoid shots from this baddie right here, because you're having to cross over his line of fire. And you want to not get distracted by the smoocher, but instead shoot the apple that's down here. You have the apple right there. And then you go to the portal and have to deal with more apples. It's really just a task of trying to get all those apple shots down. But you can use this video to try and line up to try and get the timing right. For 613, there really isn't much to say. For this opening right here, you want to jump over this blue fence and hang a bit to the right, because one of those red blobs on the left will try and come run at you. And then coming up here, you want to try and parry this baddie right in front of you, because it'll make dodging the baddie on the left a lot easier. And you won't have to deal with an extra bullet from the baddie on the right. And you have a bunch of fog bullets and teleporter guys. And then at the end of this, you're going to have a very tough apple shot on the left. And the fog bullets, and you have, oh, is that another fog bullet? No, it's just a baddie. And then you have an apple shot and baddie. The apple trigger is tied to the blue platform, but you don't really have enough time to try and maneuver around it. So it's best just try and make the apple shot. It's not that tough of a shot anyways. So 614 is a very tough level. So at the start here, what you want to do is you want to double tap once to start the level, and then a second time to fire a shot, because right in front of you in that teleporter is a tall civilian, which will teleport you to that teleporter. And then once you go through it, you're going to have a apple that's coming down, and that's going to be your first target. So you're going to try and line it up and then shoot, and then you want to immediately shoot the smoocher on the left, and then the baddie on the right. And then from here, so right here you can see there's another tall baddie or tall civilian in that teleporter, as well as another smoocher. So you want to shoot at the teleporter first and then deal with the smoocher. And then up ahead you can see there's this giant red blob. Now that will be an obstacle in a little bit, but we'll deal with it when we get to it. Apple, smoocher, and then apple. And from here, you want to walk straight before you... okay, let me go back a bit. So before you get onto the platform, you want to be facing straight, because you want to shoot this tall baddie right here as you're going up. Because above you is that giant red blob that we saw before. And then from there, you have an apple shot that you have to time. And from here, you just want to strafe onto this gun butt right here. You want to hold space, and you should be able to hit right on that and jump directly off it, and you don't have to worry about jumping again. And then you should be able to easy apple shot. And you want to wait till you're near the bounce pad to shoot this baddie, because it does trigger that apple right there. There we go. It's going to take a lot of retries to get that opening section, and even more to try and get the third tall civilian shot with the red blob. If you're having a bit of trouble and you don't want to deal with the red blob, one thing you can do is you can shoot the red blob beforehand. So if you come to around this area right here, so right after you deal with all these guys, you have an opportunity to pop a shot at the red blob and take it out, but all that will do is give you some extra time to shoot the tall the tall civilian, because you still need to get there in time to shoot the apple. So 6-15 is probably one of the toughest levels in here without the skips, as you're going to have to make some very tough shots in the middle of the air. So from the opening right here, you're going to have an apple shot right in front of you into that baddie, and you want to make sure to, once you hit that bounce pad, you're ready to shoot the apple. And then from there, you just to deal with this, and then coming up, you have this tall civilian right here, and that's going to lead you onto a bounce pad with a bunch of apple shots in the air. So one important thing is that you want to be very mindful of where you're moving in the air. So let's see. So right here you can see I'm holding forward and right, so I'm strafing towards the center. Because if you're just moving towards this apple right here, you're going to miss this shot over here because you won't have enough time. And the same thing, if you don't move enough to over here, if you don't move enough to the left, then you're going to miss the next shot. So it's going to take a lot of practice, and that's the only way you can get through this is with practicing a lot. I spent probably half an hour to an hour just on this level alone. And then from there, you're going to have a smoocher, and then immediately after that, you're going to want to fire 3 shots. And then from here, you're going to want to parry this bullet and then shoot the tall civilian and immediately turn around. And then from here, just try and time that shot as best as you can, shoot the baddie, and then the small red blob on the left is going to be trying to expand, and the one on the right is going to try and come at you. So you want to hang towards the left, shoot the small one, and then head for the goal. .616 is another tough level, but it's pretty easy once you know what to do. So at the start here, you want to do for the same exact thing that you did for, I think, 614. You want to double tap right at the start, once to start the level and once to shoot, because you're lined up way in the distance. There's a tall civilian in which it would teleport you to an apple that you need to shoot. And you kind of want to just angle up a bit, and then you should be able to get the shot. And if you just try and want to memorize that angle. Then from here, it's pretty easy shots. And then from here, you want to be holding in W and walking straight, because once you get through this teleporter, you immediately want to fire a shot off. And then from there, you want to, you want to strafe into this teleporter right here. And then you want to try and start walking forward as straight as you can, because you immediately have to shoot this other apple. And you just have to try and aim afterwards. So the tough thing about this level is that teleporters will readjust your rotation as well as your position when you get teleported. So for example, if you're looking up and go through a teleporter, it will make you look forward. So you can't really aim up beforehand at a set angle before you go through the teleporter. So because it'll just reset it back to horizontal. So you need to go through the teleporter, then aim up. And that was one thing that I couldn't figure out. I was like, I keep on aiming up, but yeah, I still wasn't hitting it. So it's one thing to keep in mind for when you're going through this level. So 617 is an incredibly fast level that you're just going to have to restart over and over again till you can get the rhythm down. So just try and follow like the shots because you are extremely pressed for time. And this combination of like shot order is the best one I found in for time. So jump up, shoot that guy, and then shoot the tall blue before you hit the ground. If you don't, you won't have enough time. And then you're gonna have to shoot this apple right in front of you, this other apple, and then the smoocher. And then go to the teleporter, in which you have to shoot the teleporter guy in front of you, and immediately shoot the apple to your right, and then the other guy. There's no other way I found way to do this level. There is a faster way to do this level, but it's harder than the intended way. So you're just gonna have to try it and slog your way through it. Six 18 is a pretty easy level since this skip I found pretty much gimps it. And there are a bunch of hard shots you have to make for this skip, but they're all right at the very beginning. So it's very simple to just restart and try again. So from the start right here, you're going to come and walk forward. And you want to walk forward enough so you trigger this guy. And then you just shoot him, shoot the apple, and you want to try and aim for its apex. That way you have a bit more time to shoot it. And then you need to shoot that guy right there. And then you need to shoot that guy way over there in the distance, and he's going to teleport you over there. I didn't shoot the other baddie on that platform because it causes an apple to trigger. And yeah, and you have plenty of time to try and line up that shot there. From there, it's pretty simple. All these shots are fairly simple to make since you don't really have to make some quick reaction time shots or have a weird angle. You're pretty close to everything you have to shoot. This is probably the only hard shot at this end. And you want to make sure to shoot the civilian because we skipped a different baddie. So we get the civilian glitch. And that will make it so you can kill one less baddie in the level. .619 is another very tough level. There's a minor skip that I found that helps, but it's only to avoid apple shots at the very end. But the opening is pretty tough, and it's going to require a lot of practice. I think this level also probably took me around half an hour to beat. So starting from the opening, you want to do the same thing and double tap right at the start. And you want to jump, look up, and then shoot this tall baddie. This gives you just slightly more time since you jumped and you're a bit closer to it. And you just want to aim a little bit above horizontal. Not a whole lot, just a tinge. Even just aiming horizontal will be good enough. And then from here, you want to aim a little bit higher and then shoot the other apple. And then look down and shoot the smoocher. And then from there, you want to look up and get this apple shot that's fairly easy. And that's the last hard shot you're going to have to make. And you go through the teleporter. And let me back up real quick. So from here, you want to try and be right at the edge before you jump. And then you're going to want to strafe walk around it and aim for the bit of land poking out down below. You should just barely be able to make it, and then jump up. Doing this will avoid the second blue platform, which will avoid these 3 apple triggers right here, which are a real pain to hit. So So 620 has a very tough opening, but that doesn't matter because the skip I found for it makes it just a cakewalk. So you want to jump over the fence, look down, and then shoot this baddie over here. You don't want to shoot the other baddie that was up there with you because that will cause the apple triggers to trigger, then you have to shoot them in the entire sequence. Instead, you want to come down here and shoot the tall civilian over here in the distance. And then from there, pretty simple shots. And then from right here, you want to try and jump on top of this apple because it's probably the easiest setup method I found for it. You don't need to, but I find that it helps. And then from there, you want to jump off it and strafe walk all the way over the blue platform, and you should be able to make it onto this land without wasting too much time. And that will skip the apple trigger that was right there. Then from there, you want to delay shooting that smoocher a bit. Oops. You want to delay shooting that smoocher a bit because that triggers the other apple. And you want to give yourself enough time to line up for that shot. And then don't forget to shoot that civilian because you skipped the baddie at the very start. So I tried a lot of things to try and make this as easy as possible, but 621 is very tough. And most of it has to do with this opening shot right here and an apple shot they have to do later. So coming in at the start right here, you want to try and jump and look up just to give you a little bit less of an angle. You have to swing down for the shot. For the next shot, which is right here, and you want to pre-aim that shot, and then as soon as you teleport, you want to fire, and then from there, you want to turn around, jump up so you're a little bit closer, and then move towards this other tall civilian, shoot him, and then once that bullet's traveling, you want to try and aim for the next shot right here, and then shoot it immediately as you get teleported. So it's a lot of practice, but it's also probably one of the hardest shots you're gonna have to make here. So, but once you get that done, it's fairly simple until you get to over here. So you have the 2 teleporter guys and the smoocher behind the second one, and the smoocher will trigger the apple spawn on the left that you can see there. I've tried just going to the first teleporter and jumping onto the land, but I find you don't really have enough time and it's a bit inconsistent with the triggering with the smoocher. So it's usually just better to try and just do it as intended. And you want to try and delay the second shot. That way you have enough time to shoot the apple, but not a whole lot, just a tinge. Like rather than like tapping as fast as you can, maybe go do. And then you have the apple, very tough apple shot. And then from there you want to try and shoot the blue tile immediately, aim horizontal, and then shoot. So altogether, those are doable, but trying to do them all in one sequence is very tough. So 622 is another tough level, but you're almost home free. It's the last obstacle in trying to get all these 8 levels aced. So from the start, you just have to make these shots. And then from here, you need to shoot that tall civilian as well as that smoocher, but the smoocher controls the trigger for the apple shot in the distance. So you want to pop a shot at this tall civilian, start moving backwards to try and delay it as much as you can, and then you want to make that shot right there, and you want to aim just above his head. You don't want to try and aim where the apple's at because it'll just fall by the time the bullet reaches there. And from there you have these shots right here. Then you go through the teleporter and you need to shoot this teleporter guy right there, and you have another apple shot right afterwards in which you want to aim just over the head of the civilian. I find that if you shooting as you're sort of reaching the apex, not at the apex, but just right before it, tends to be the timing for it. And then from here, you can try and do a triple shot, but I find it's not worth it. It's usually better just to do a double shot to get the baddie and the smoocher, and then get the apple as you're jumping off of the blue platform. From there, you have the smoocher around the corner. Then you want to shoot the tall civilian before you shoot the smoocher, because the smoocher I think controls the apple spawn. Yeah, and that should give you enough time to shoot the apple if you shoot him second. It's gonna take you a lot of tries, but it's the last hard level. So 623 used to be probably the hardest level of all the levels in the Abyss, but thankfully I found a skip for it. So you aren't really pressed for time, but you kind of are. So you can kind of take things a bit slower than I show here, but you still kind of want to go quick, but you don't necessarily need to go as quick as I do. I mostly go as quick as I do because I played this level a bunch before I found the skip. So from the very start right here, you shoot the smoocher and that guy. And if you come right here, you should have a pretty nice shot because it should line up very the apple should be going kind of where you're looking, so you don't have to adjust so far that much aiming left or right. And then from here, you need to shoot that guy over there. I shot him while I was in the air. You can shoot him while you're still on the ground over there. And then you want to look over the right and shoot that guy. Take your time with it. And then from here, I kind of do this quick, but you want to come right to this edge, and you want to be strafing, and you want to jump right at the edge as close as you possibly can. Because if you do, you should just barely be able to make this jump. And then from there, you want to jump on the tall baddie's head, or the tall civilian's head. It's a bit hard to line up, but you'll get it with practice. And then from there to the tent, and you just need to swing around and shoot that baddie right there. And then you have one more, and then an apple. Then from here, you want to come right here, and you want to line yourself so the civilian's behind the goal. You want to shoot at the goal, turn left, shoot the other civilian, and then walk into the goal. So normally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to, let's see, you're supposed to so you're supposed to shoot the tall civilian here and the teleporter guy that's above, but the timing seems kind of off, and I found that I've never really gotten it intentionally. I got it once purely by chance, but I had no idea how I got it. It was just completely by chance. And thankfully, I was messing around because originally I didn't think this jump was possible. But I must have been trying to jump from a lower spot because I don't think I ever really tried from the green edge. And I might have, if I did, I didn't jump soon enough or late enough, I mean, because you can just barely. It's like, look how close that jump is. So if you need to, you can kind of swing around from the very start and just go directly to this to try and practice this jump, because it is a very tough jump to make.